Part 1. Chloe, your sister-in-law is insisting that you personally perform her C-section. If you don't agree, she refuses to let your brother sign the surgical consent forms. Hearing those words, I realized I had been reborn. I was back on the exact day my sister-in-law went into labor. This time, I decided not to interfere at all. I would let her dictate her own delivery. In my past life, Megan's delivery became a critical emergency. She needed an immediate C-section. At first, she adamantly demanded a natural birth, only after the doctors explicitly told her it was impossible did she reluctantly agree to the surgery, but she stubbornly demanded that I personally perform it. As an OB-GYN at the hospital, I already had another patient scheduled for surgery at that exact time. Megan thrashed around in agony on the delivery bed, threatening that if I didn't hold the scalpel, she wouldn't let my brother sign the consent forms. Left with no choice, I begged a colleague to swap surgical slots with me and rushed into her operating room. Because of my prompt intervention, Megan successfully delivered her daughter. Both mother and child were safe. Megan was endlessly grateful to me. At every holiday gathering, she would brag to our relatives about my heroic actions that day. Our relationship grew incredibly close. We shared everything. Whenever I saw my niece, she would sweetly call me Auntie, her voice like honey. I constantly counted my blessings that my decisive action back then allowed my niece to grow up healthy, lively, and adorable. Not long after, I also got pregnant because my husband was deployed overseas with the military and my in-laws lived out of state. Megan volunteered to take care of me. My mother thought Megan had experience, so she felt comfortable leaving me in her sole care. My niece, hearing I was having a baby, curiously moved in to live with me too. However, I thought she was kindly taking care of me during my late pregnancy. I never expected her to orchestrate a vicious, premeditated smear campaign. She tampered with my medical files, spread rumors of prescription drug abuse, and framed me for severe medical malpractice. It caused a stress-induced breakdown that destroyed my career, got my medical license revoked, and ruined my life. When I begged her for help, she just ignored me, glaring at me with pure venom and snarling. If it weren't for the surgery you did on me back then, giving me a classical vertical incision, I would have been able to have my second child, my son, a long time ago. It turned out, for all those years, she had been secretly seeking fertility treatments, desperately hoping to have a boy. When she realized she could no longer conceive, Ta blindly believed some pseudoscience rumors that a vertical C-section incision made it impossible to bear a male heir. From that moment on, she harbored a deep, festering hatred for me. When she found out I was pregnant with a boy, she finally couldn't hold back her malice and destroyed my life. I can't have a son, so don't you even dream of having one either. No matter how I pleaded, Megan walked away without looking back. And the niece I loved so dearly just stared at me coldly, with a maturity in her eyes that didn't match her age. If you hadn't done that surgery on my mom, she wouldn't be sad every day, and she wouldn't hit me or yell at me. I want a real little brother. I don't want your baby. I saved her life, and she helped destroy mine. In my final memories of my past life, the secret of my absolute ruin was flawlessly covered up by Megan. Now, looking at the anxious midwife standing in front of me, my heart felt as cold as ice. I clenched my fists, fighting hard to suppress the raging fury inside me. Everything must be done according to hospital protocol. I haven't reviewed my sister-in-law's charts. I cannot perform her surgery. I have to go prep my own patient for surgery now. If my sister-in-law asks, just tell her that by the time you came to find me, I was already scrubbed the newborn. Without another word, I strode toward the operating rooms to begin the pre-op consultation with the patient who was actually waiting for me. I knew perfectly well Megan wouldn't be happy about this. However, as long as I wasn't the one holding the scalpel, then whatever scars she got from the surgery had absolutely nothing to do with me. In this life, I really wanted to see if she could finally get her wish and welcome the second son she dreamed of so desperately. But first, I hoped her first child would at least make it out safely. Niece, if you actually have what it takes, then find your own way into this world safely. By the time I stepped down from the operating table, before I could even wipe the sweat from my forehead, I saw my mother, her face covered in. It turned out, because I couldn't personally do the surgery, Megan had no choice but to agree to let a senior OB-GYN handle her case. Her situation was genuinely critical. The umbilical cord had prolapsed, and the fetus was showing signs of hypoxia. If they didn't operate immediately, the baby was at severe risk of asphyxiation. But even at a moment like this, Megan fought the doctor tooth and nail, absolutely refusing to let her make a vertical incision. No matter how the doctor explained that a vertical incision was the only way to cut the surgery time and get the baby out in the fastest, safest way possible, Megan adamantly refused. The senior doctor had to swear on her decades of medical experience that a vertical incision was the only way to ensure both mother and baby survived. Only then, amidst hysterical crying, did Megan let my brother sign the consent forms. But because of Megan's relentless obstruction that missed the optimal surgical window, the moment my niece born, she was rushed straight to the NICU. Megan also showed signs of severe infection. The senior doctor fought desperately just to save Megan's uterus, seeing my niece suffering because of Megan's sheer stupidity. My mother's tears wouldn't stop falling. "Chloe, I knew we shouldn't have listened to your sister-in-law. She swore to me she could do a natural birth. That's why I didn't contact you earlier. Now look what happened. She couldn't deliver normally, and when she actually needed a doctor for surgery, you were busy and couldn't come. She needlessly delayed my granddaughter's birth. I quickly pulled my mother into my arms to comfort her. Actually, in my past life, it was exactly because I understood how critical Megan's situation was that I made the executive decision to do a vertical incision, perhaps because we were family. Megan didn't fight me too hard on it. The surgery went smoothly, and both Megan and my niece were perfectly safe. There is indeed a difference between a vertical and horizontal C-section incision, but in certain life or death emergencies, a vertical incision is the only viable option. Megan just happened to land in one of those emergencies. Post-op in my past life, Megan had complained to me, saying that most people get horizontal incisions these days, but I gave her a vertical one, making her recovery process agonizingly slow. I patiently explained the medical necessity to her back then, but I completely failed to hear the true meaning hidden in her words. It turned out, she didn't care at all about how I moved mountains to make sure she delivered her baby safely. She only cared that it was a girl and whether her next pregnancy would successfully yield a boy. Now, seeing her niece fighting for her life, she was filled with regret, but these were the bitter fruits of her own making. My brother Chris was a man with no backbone. Whenever he faced a crisis like this, he would just squat on the floor, agonizingly pulling his own hair. I took a deep breath and walked into Megan's hospital room. The second I walked in and Megan saw me, the tears started pouring down her face. "Chloe, I regret it so much. I regret not telling you earlier. If only you had been there." I put on a look of deep regret as well. "I know, Megan. When the midwife came looking for me, I was already in the OR. By the time I got out, your surgery was already over. But don't worry. Evans is the most authoritative doctor in our hospital. Her surgery was definitely better than anything I could have done." Megan shook her head frantically. "No, it wasn't. She gave me a vertical incision. With a vertical incision, I won't be able to have a son for my second baby." Chris had already been burning with anxiety because his daughter was in the NICU. Hearing her say this, he suddenly jumped up, using a booming voice I had never heard from him before. He roared at Megan, "Look at the situation we are in, and you're still obsessing over a second child. Our family does not have a toxic obsession with male heirs. Megan, how many times do I have to tell you? I will love a boy or a girl exactly the same. Can you use your brain for 1 second? Your daughter is still in intensive care. She isn't even stable yet. If you think a stay in the NICU is going to snap Megan back to reality, you underestimate the power of toxic delusion. Part 2 is where the scapegoating begins.